This is a show about portals and stargates.
One theory, stargates.
One of these technologies was the ability to be able to travel through space-time using these technologies called stargates.
The theory behind how a stargate works is that it's a wormhole or vortex that connects 2 points in space together, kind of like folding a piece of paper over.
And some people think they're everywhere.
Probably anywhere between 10 to 20 for around the world altogether.
In southern Peru, a mysterious civilization that predates the Incas built the Puerta de Ayolmarca, or Gateway of the Gods.
Notice these are all near lakes and lake shores.
Puno, Peru, which is on the edge of Lake Titicaca. It basically is built into what appears to be a cliff face, and it looks like a very large doorway.
There is a legend that one of the priests of the Incas was being chased by the Spanish conquistadors, and he fled into a stargate, into a portal, and simply disappeared from this plane of reality.
In neighboring Bolivia, another ancient people built the gateway to the sun more than 2,000 years before the rise of the Incan Empire.
The Gateway of the Sun Stargate in Bolivia was built by the Tiwanaku
You see what's in there? Obelisk.
civilization. It's located on the shores or nearby Lake Titicaca on the top of the Bolivian plateau.
Eye of the needle?
This doorway to the sun was a means
And there you go. There's the obelisk sitting right in that eye of the needle.
by which the Tiwanakan civilization believed that they could interact or enter into the energies of the sun.
Pictographs and sculptures throughout the pyramids of Egypt depict the coming of gods from the stars who arrived and left long ago. What they left behind was a legacy of advanced technology, architecture, and culture the likes of which had never been seen before.
What?
Now check this out. I was looking at somebody else doing a video about some hieroglyphs, and he pointed out that most people think that this is a helicopter, and it might be, the tail and the body and the blade, but he pointed out that it could look like the Google glasses, which would be interesting because that would date it to basically now. But he was saying, you know, here's one lens, the other lens looks like maybe a chip and a wire, and then and then the earpiece and the little hook for the ear. But I thought that was an interesting take on that, because I mean, when you look at it, you think helicopter, but when you think Google glasses, it kind of looks like it.
Evidence is there that advanced technology was delivered to the Egyptians through technologies such as stargates.
Well, the evidence we have is evidence from the hieroglyphics themselves that seem to indicate that there were places on planet Earth where they call them gods could easily transport themselves between their plane of reality, whatever universe they lived in, and our plane of reality.
Would these advanced beings send ambassadors of peace? Or would they transport advanced weapons that would make our largest nuclear missiles seem like firecrackers by comparison?
Imagine what the...
This is the pathway from the pentagram to the Mormon Temple in Salt Lake City, to Nauvoo, to Hill Cumorah. And I just want to, say again that this is not just Mormon. I think they're just one of the groups that's involved with these obelisks, and I'll show you that later. You'll see what I'm talking about. But I want to bring up the next, angle at this, because I want to, Sandy Hook and Webster, I believe, were connected. Sandy Hook was December 14th, Webster the 24th, 10 days apart, with the, the Mayan calendar ending in between. So, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to take a measurement, do that as a path. Go to Sandy Hook. And I'm going to put that right about there. And then I'm going to switch this to nautical miles. And you will see that from that obelisk to that part of Sandy Hook School, forward this up so you can see it, is exactly 200 nautical miles. And it's not that in miles, it's that in nautical miles. And remember, it doesn't matter what the nomenclature is, it's the number. So here you got 200 nautical miles, and I'm going to show you that this event and this whole thing, I believe, is about the age of Aquarius, which is all about water. Now, here's something even more interesting. If you want to get to 2022, that's 200.02. And that spot right there is the jungle gym at Sandy Hook. And there's interesting thing about this jungle gym. If you get really close in there, whoop, I don't want to do that. If you get really close in there, these look like the capstone of pyramids on these jungle gyms at Sandy Hook, or the capstone of maybe an obelisk as well, because an obelisk has a capstone type pyramid. You see that? I mean, that is absolutely incredible. I'm like, are you kidding me? So, and it even goes on more with Sandy Hook. Wait till I show you what Sandy Hook is connected to. And then where we're going from here, or where I'm going from here, I should say. Well, before I move on, I just want to stress that 2002, again, the 22 showing up, you know, from that obelisk, you know, and now in this case into Sandy Hook. Get a good focus on that. I'm going to show you another ley line here, what they call ley lines. And this one is between what's called the Temple of the Feathered Serpent in Mexico, and I'll take you there. This is an ancient temple in Mexico, right here. It's called the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. And one of the gods that they worshipped here, which I found out, was a god named Quetzalcoatl, which is going to become important also a little bit later. But if you take that over to Stonehenge, okay, you follow that line, takes you to Stonehenge. Okay, there's right in the middle of Stonehenge. Okay, and now we go back to Sandy Hook. And that line, it disappears if you get too close, goes right by Sandy Hook. I took a measurement of this. It was like 3/8 of a mile from Sandy Hook to that line. Okay? Now, if you want to see something even more weird, look at the shape of the school of Sandy Hook here. Okay? Look at the shape of it. And now let's go back to the Feathered Serpent. Okay, and we'll turn that off. Now that's the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. very similar shape. Now let me show you this. I actually overlaid. That's not it. Sandy Hook. Look at that. That's overlaying Sandy Hook on the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. It's a really good replica. But here's what's even weirder. I shouldn't say weirder, it's just, I guess, part of it. If I take a measurement from right there, or actually in a lot of spots here, but I notice you got to go over this temple to get this measurement right. And I go back to Sandy Hook. Okay, switch this back to miles, and I focus in on, you notice this altar type thing? I focus in right there and pop it, I think, in one of these, and look at the distance. 2,000, let me give you a close-up of this. 2,121.04 miles. Now let's cover up that first two. And what do you got? 1214, 1214, December 14th, which was the day Sandy Hook happened. Okay, and I don't think that's a mistake or a coincidence. With the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, Stonehenge, and Sandy Hook connection now, connecting it to this obelisk, now what you have is basically these highways. And, they travel between these points. And I'll tell you, too, these ley lines, what they call them, actually go all the way around the world. I'm just showing you a part of them. When they have this many, of these type of things on it, it just keeps going. And this one, I believe, goes through Damascus, I think Iraq, and a few other major Middle Eastern cities. This one, I can't remember what else this goes through. Not as much, but a couple of cities in the U.S. But this is what you got, and this is what I'm going to call Hell's Highway. And